This is a
Sneaker
video
resellers.
by Not Tripping. His name is Not Tripping, and it's about sneaker resellers and what's going on with the game. Because there's some things that I want to talk about.
You love them, hate them, or well, you probably are one. There's a good chance you can categorize a sneaker reseller by looking at them. Insecure, probably fat, pimply, and probably smells like a mixture of bong water, McDonald's barbecue sauce, and a strong stench of unemployment. Today, we're going to be answering the question, why does everyone hate sneaker resellers? And well, at the end of the video, it might shock you what I have to say. So, buckle up, and let's begin. Gentrification. First, what is gentrification? Gentrification pertaining to sneaker culture are those buying into the culture who really don't give a shit about the actual culture of sneakers and streetwear. Many people nowadays are mainly into this culture for the monetary gain or the perception these clothes and sneakers make them feel. The biggest thing about this is that most of you who are actually new to the culture look like you are dressing up like Travis Scott, Kanye West, or whatever influencer you see on YouTube for Halloween. The clothes don't fit who you are. All of you are buying clothes you see, but forget to realize that clothes and shoes don't make Travis Scott as a person. Travis Scott makes Travis Scott, not whatever flannel, vintage shirt, or Nike shoes that he wears.
Now, I think that this stuff right here, a number one activist, that's how I got to his channel, is because of that specific video you're talking about right there. But the one thing I want to talk about this, I started collecting sneakers pre Galaxy phone pods, and I think that that's like an important distinction to make. My thing with the sneaker gentrification thing is it couples with something else that happened around this time as well. When did the Galaxy phone pods originally drop? Because I think this is when rap got gentrified as well. When hip hop culture got gentrified. When black culture got gentrified, et cetera, et cetera. At that time right there, that's when a lot of things just started to go, I don't want to say downhill. 2012, 2/24, 2012. So who was rapping in 2012? 2012 hip hop songs, Schoolboy Q, Kendrick Lamar, Trinidad James, 2 Chainz, Rack City was out, Tygas, Nicki Minaj, Bees in the Trap. That's when she went kind of poppy. Chief Keef, Don't Like, Bands Will Make Her Dance. So I think Click, I think this is a transition of hip hop into a more, how should I say, gentrified area too. And you get a whole gentrification of the culture, like black culture, and you see this trickle down into hip hop or into sneaker culture. I think that sneakers have always, been about people, and hip hop fashion and all that have been about people emulating and imitating, but it was always from people that were in the culture that had some cultural ties to, or some sort of ties to whatever they were imitating and emulating. People pay for Air Force Ones, they pay for big jeans, they pay for jerseys and stuff like that, but there were still cultural ties, regional ties to some of the things that they wore. Up north, they might have wore Averex jackets, big leather jackets, because that's what you did up north. Down south, they didn't wear that same thing because it just didn't make any sense. But now, everybody everywhere is a carbon copy, no matter what even the weather is. So many people that are walking around like Georgia State's campus right now with big jackets on. And it's fucking 90 degrees outside. But,
Now, reselling is seen as something mainly for monetary gain, and the biggest blame for this is actually Stockx.
These nuts.
Stockx is easily accessible and now has transformed how sneakers and clothes are being perceived. Oh, it's like the stock market. Oh my god, look at me, I'm on Wall Street with my sneakers. That's not how it works, guys. Sneakers are now seen as an asset as they are easily tracked on Stockx, which in reality, they aren't assets. Come on. They're sneakers. Rarely do people actually try and buy sneakers to actually wear and enjoy the sneaker. Now, I would say about 75% of people are buying mass quantities of sneakers and basically reselling them. No one actually gives a shit about sneakers anymore and only see them as a way to make money rather than actually enjoying and wearing a shoe. Sneaker resellers are the equivalent to the government. They control everything. They never really even cared about sneakers, never. Hype essentially runs and controls the sneaker community, whereas when someone gets...
So why I note the Galaxy Foamposite specifically as a marker, and the Bread 11 as a marker for when sneaker culture hit its top and then started to fall, is because at one point in time, there's always been expensive sneakers. There's always been expensive resale sneakers or whatever the case may be. But those two shoes to me mark when people realized there was a lot of money in sneakers, like an insane amount of money in sneakers. B, it no longer became this super niche hobby collection that people had, looked in the same vein as, Hot Wheels cars or, Star Wars collectible items. Sneakers were in that same vein, but now they've moved into something different. And C, I think there was a lot of media hype around those sneakers at that time that was just so different. That was so different. Think about it. Hype shoes always were releasing. The Grinch Kobe's were out well before any of this hype stuff happened. And back then, people just copped the shoe. It was an ugly shoe to some. It was a beautiful shoe to others. But people were playing basketball in that shoe. Jordan 11s came out well before that. It wasn't to the extent that it was when that Bread came out that same year. I think that was 2012 as well. That same year that Galaxy Foam came out. I would truly mark that as that. And when people see, okay, this niche group seriously is willing to end people's lives over these things, maybe we need to go ahead and take some of our money and become investors in this. And when people see money in this, they'll figure out ways to continue to make money in this, whether that be through, buying up all the shoes, reselling, bots, whatever. And more importantly, one of the bigger things that I always think ruins a lot of the things that we love or a lot of the things that we watch and continue to, live in is content creation. People started creating content around sneakers, and I think that that's something that truly just damaged content creation for forever. I ain't gonna lie.
Gets popular and mainstream, everyone flocks to it like a seagull spotting an open bag of Doritos on the beach. Nike Dunks and SBs were a shoe that were sitting on shelves at Foot Locker just over 5 years ago, until artificial and fake hype sweeps in like a Category 5 hurricane, fucks everything up, and then over time, eventually moves on. When it moves on, another one will come in. The cycle of hype allows no one in the community to genuinely enjoy or appreciate a brand or even a new shoe silhouette, just completely ruins the previous culture of that shoe that no one was talking about, and then the cycle goes on and on and on. I mean, guys, I could just be throwing different examples at you all day long in this video, but I think you get the point here. This is seen with these stupid YouTubers where they don't actually even like the sneaker, but hey, since it's hype, they are willing to pay for it and they want it.
Got the orange lobsters. I have seen these before. Definitely need these, even though I'm not a dunk guy. I know you need these too, huh?
Oh, 100%. I wish I could walk.
Shut up, bitch!
Oh, well, you know what? I'm not a dunk guy, but like, hey, let you know I like these dunks a lot because dunks are popular and rare and cool, right? Genuinely, also, what is the point of collecting sneakers if you don't actually wear the sneakers? What are you trying to do? Start up a fucking museum in your bedroom? What is your ultimate goal? You have no right to be this openly corny and just plain stupid. This isn't even meant to target anyone specifically.
It's meant to target people specifically. Kais Omar is one of them. And I used to watch and enjoy Kais Omar's videos. Just because he had shoes that I couldn't ever think to obtain, see, whatever the case may be. But when I watch his stuff and think back on it, before this, I used to watch people like Jumpman Bostic, people that act Hess Kicks, Nightwing. These people, and there's other people that didn't become as big, et cetera, that had normal 9-to-5 jobs and had been sneaker heads for a long time. And there's a difference, and I want to explain the difference. They reviewed niche things or things that they liked. Hear me when I say this. They purchased things that they liked. They copped things that they liked, and more importantly, that they were gonna wear and wear frequently. They didn't care about having the most hype thing when it dropped or all these other things like that. They were collecting the Spizikes. You feel what I'm saying? The Team Jordans, the Jordan Futures. They were collecting all these shoes because it was not about, and not collecting. They were buying all these shoes because it wasn't about having the best collection. It wasn't about having the museum. It was about, I personally like this shoe. I'm going to wear this shoe, and I have some sort of attachment to this shoe. But when we look at a guy like this, like a Kais Omar, I see a bunch of shoes, and I watch Kais Omar. It's too many times where he gets rid of shoe collections with a bunch of DS, near DS shoes. It's a bunch of times where it's shoes that are only hyped of 2 brands, 3 brands. When this hype wave comes in, you'll see nothing but videos from that type of brand, and then they'll go away from that type of brand when it no longer becomes the popular thing to do. You can go through somebody's channel, and for the longest of times, they've never touched a New Balance a day in their life. Never had touched a New Balance a day in their life. And now, all of a sudden, they've got all the New Balance. They got the 990s, the 2002s. They've got everything like that. Now, I've been following you for years, and you've never collected a New Balance. Not saying you can't expand your palette. It just seems very much coincidental. It seems very much coincidental. So you don't like it for the reasons that you think you do. You like it because everybody else is telling you why you like it. And that gets me to 2 things that I saw on Twitter. 2 things that I saw on Twitter. These 2 things right here. Because we're in a slippery place because these people have put us in a slippery place, these content creators. I'm seeing a video like this, Pandas still dominating the sneaker scene. It's from Abby Schneider. All the pandas we saw at Drake. Or, whatever her name is. Cool. She goes through all the panda dunks that they see. And, that's a very hype shoe. A lot of people got it. Content creators went crazy over it, etc., etc. And I don't care what nobody says. She did that in bad faith. Where I'm going with this one is, those people could genuinely like the shoe. Who are you to try to talk about them in a negative light? Who are you to try to make fun of them? Who are you to try to down them when it comes to the shoe that they may like? But in the same token, a lot of those people copped that shoe because their favorite content creator told them to cop that shoe. They said this was the hype shoe. This is the shoe of the year. This is the shoe that everybody's going to have. You need to have it, etc., etc. And I know they didn't think that, Nike was going to drop the fuck out of that shoe, but it is what it is. Let me see. Panda Dunks shoe of the year. I put Panda Dunks, but we'll see if it pops up. This is the new Air Force One, and the way that people act about this shoe is wow. It's just so fucking disgusting. Now, the next thing that I saw was this Tony D2 Wild tweet. And this really got me thinking, boy. This got me thinking. Tony says, I don't want to go to sneaker events, conventions, shows that's premises about buy, sell, trade. I'd like to go to more sneaker events based on the history, storytelling, activations. I want to leave learning something. I might be asking for too much, but I'm over going to events, walking around tables, looking at the same shoes being sold at insane prices. I feel like Complex Con does a decent job, but I'd like to see more. And again, double-edged sword. I agree with Tony right here. I wholeheartedly agree with Tony. And I talked to one of my homeboys that works for SneakerCon, and we shared the same sentiments. I won't spill the beans because he legitimately does work with SneakerCon. But my sentiments from that, I agree with Tony.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Tony.
Oh my God. Tony doesn't realize though the hand that he played in getting the sneaker culture to where it is today. He doesn't even realize that. And that's crazy. You know, him and other content creators put sneaker culture where it is today. When you only talk about the hype stuff, where it's all about what can I have, what can make the most current Instagram picture pop, what can I do to make me sizzle in the atmosphere and the algorithm for another couple of months. When you do that, when you set yourself up like that, because you're creating content like that, you're part of the problem as well. Also, stuff like that happens. You don't want to go to those things. Those things already exist. You just don't want to go to those things. I promise you just don't want to go to those things. But to act like, you don't play a part in that. When we go on your channel, when we look at your collection, and I'm looking at the videos that you post on a day-to-day basis. All these are just hype sneakers. All these are just Air Jordans. And you could tell me, hey, this is actually what I like. I wouldn't even necessarily disagree with you. I wouldn't even necessarily disagree with you. 10 most hyped sneakers dropping in July 2023. This Tony D2 Wild. I gotta cop these because this is what he said. You're part of the problem. You are actually a part of the problem. And you don't even see it. You're creating the hype. You're creating the hype that leads to people buying shoes for this specific reason, not wearing the shoes, and then they have atmospheres and environments for people to buy, sell, and trade the shoes. Because also there's a subsection of people who really don't give a fuck about the same things you care about. Who really don't. And then when we take shoes out of their cultural context, when it's all about the hype, when we're not talking about what it pays homage to, et cetera, yeah, you definitely are creating an environment where people just don't give a fuck. I get rid of my shoes every once in a while to my cousins because we wear the same size. My cousin came over here the other day to pick up his shoes. I tried to tell him what this shoe meant with this, what this color represented and all that stuff. That nigga was like, oh yeah, I got the fit for this. Like, he didn't care about none of that. He really didn't care about none of that. Literally did not care about none of that. I like the rest of that video from Not Tripping. I suggest you go back and watch it. He gets into the culture vultures, the people that are influencers, these influencers that are telling you what's cool and what's not cool to wear. I hate that whack ass shit that they do on the internet where they're telling people what to wear, what not to wear. They talk about the hype equaling quantity, et cetera, and when stuff isn't hyped, or when stuff has great quantity, it starts to lose the hype, although it still could be a good shoe or whatever the case may be. Like, he talks about a lot of that stuff. But I just want to say the people who are begging for this stuff in the sneaker community and the hip hop community and all these different communities, you got to see what part in this you play. Because some of you do play a part in this. Some of us do play a part in this. When we only collect the hype, when we only talk about the hype, when we only create the most salacious content, when you only do the stuff that's nasty, you breed an environment that ultimately is nasty. You breed an environment that's ultimately nasty.